Yo. This time we're going back onto Very Well Mind. We're going to be looking at anger. Anger is a big thing with BPD, and if left unmanaged, the individual with BPD can become very unhinged very quickly. Speaking from my own personal experience of it. Bear with me. Oh yeah, and as well, please do excuse me being shirtless. For once in the UK, it's actually sunny outside. Don't know if you can see that, but that's why I've got the windows open, because it's just so damn warm. So I'll put all the stuff up on screen again. If I go here, and I'll put the words here. The link between borderline personality disorder and anger. Obviously, man's battery died in that, so gotta start again. Like that. Oh wait, I want to get myself perfectly in focus. Intense, inappropriate anger is one of the most troubling symptoms of borderline personality disorder. In fact, it's so intense that it's often referred to as borderline rage. Even so, while anger is a key feature of BPD, very little is known about why people with BPD experience anger differently than other people, or how this experience is different. New research, however, is shedding light on the nature of borderline rage. Now let's jump straight into it. What is borderline anger? Borderline anger is more than just a standard emotional reaction. In the 5th edition of the Diagnostic of Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders, that's a mouthful, DSM, anger in BPD is described as inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. The reason anger in BPD is called inappropriate is because the level of anger seems to be more intense than is warranted by the situation or event that triggered it. For example, a person with BPD may react to an event that may seem small or unimportant to someone else, such as a misunderstanding, with very strong or unhealthy expressions of anger, including physical violence, sarcasm, and yelling. So yeah, borderline rage it's a very intense thing. It's unlike any feeling that I've ever experienced. I used to be very angry when I was younger, when I didn't necessarily understand BPD, when I didn't know that I had BPD. I was incredibly angry and I couldn't understand why. And like it says in here, I would become infuriated by little things. You know, my brother eating his cereal next to me with loads of milk, loads of cereal, and that's all that I could hear in my head. But that would then spiral and spiral and spiral, because that's all that I could hear, until I was literally infuriated with anger, and nobody would understand why. But it was one of my little tics, one of the things that made me angry. Again, when I was younger, I like to reference it a lot, because I feel like when I was younger I had an extreme version of BPD, whereas now I've sort of settled into myself. But when I was younger, sort of around the 15 to 18 age sort of bracket, it was incredibly intense. There was times where I was called scary, and I think that is what stopped me from being angry and actually made me suppress my anger, because all I ever wanted to do was love people and to be loved. And because of such an intense love that I was feeling towards these people, everything that they were doing was sparking these reactions. And when I didn't feel like I was in control, anger was the first thing that I would go to. And that anger would inevitably push me away from these people, because I would say things that I wouldn't necessarily mean. I would just say things because I felt like I had to. I felt like my body had to express itself in some sort of way. And like I said, this was very damaging at times, and it actually set me backwards, because, you know, this anger, which was actually coming from a place of wanting to be loved, of fear of abandonment, of that chronic emptiness that I always lived within. Those feelings heightened that anger, because I was so desperate for love and attention and care, that when there was little tiny fractions that would take me away from it, I would explode. I was actually speaking to my therapist a little while ago, and she said that I shouldn't disregard anger, because it's a feeling that everybody should feel, and you should be allowed to feel it. But it should be in a controlled environment. You should be able to control your anger, and if you can't, what is fueling that? What is underneath what is making you so angry? Because anger and BPD, especially with impulsivity and things like that, it makes it dangerous. And I hate to say that, and I hate to, I don't want to speak about BPD in a bad light, but if it's unmanaged and uncontrolled, and this anger, turns into physical violence or turns into hatred through speaking and things like that, it causes irreversible damage to other people, which we don't want to do. That's not part of the process. Let's go on to why borderline anger occurs. Am I still in focus? While borderline anger has long been a topic of debate and speculation among BPD specialists, it has only recently become a focus of careful research. Experts are now examining how borderline anger is different than normal anger and why it occurs. More specifically, researchers are trying to understand whether people with BPD are more easily angered, maybe, have more intense anger responses, or have more prolonged anger responses than people without BPD, or whether it's some sort of combination of these factors. So I just want to speak about this. Holding on to anger. Holding on to anger. So with BPD, your emotions are kind of like this. Whoop! No, you're all the way up there. I'm going to bring it down. Hold on, so like this. So now we're up here. Now most people would have a normal, gentle, up curve, down curve, and then they're free again. So with me, or with people with BPD, it's whoop, and then you hold, and it's a really elongated, prolonged curve downwards. And it's because of this overthinking, it's because of this internal monologue that never stops talking to you. And if something has angered you, I was going to say pissed you off. If something has angered you, then we hold on to it. If we could take it back to a few videos ago, I spoke about this breathing exercise where you breathe in for 8, hold for 8, exhale for 9. Breathe in for 8, hold for 8, exhale for 9. Those type of breathing exercises work very well with anger if you can take yourself out of a situation, try and slow that head voice, etc., etc. One study examined anger in people with BPD compared to those without BPD in response to an anger-producing story. This study found that people with BPD reported the same level of anger as healthy controls in response to the story, but the healthy controls reported that their anger decreased more quickly over time than people with BPD reported. Furthermore, other research shows that anger in BPD may trigger rumination? I don't know that word, dyslexic, sorry. When someone thinks over and over about their angry experience. This repetitive thinking creates a vicious emotional cycle that worsens the person's anger and increases its duration, as supported by the study mentioned above. Eventually, the prolonged and intense anger triggers aggressive behaviour, which a person engages in to relieve their rage. I feel like that explains exactly what I just spoke about, how one thing will trigger you and you won't be able to get it out of your mind, and it will keep building and building and building and building and building and building until you explode. And then when you explode, that's when the danger can happen. Because is that aggression being taken out on you? Is it being taken out on someone else? Is it physical? Is it verbal? All of the above don't sound very appetizing. Research in this area is very preliminary, and much more work is needed to fully understand how and why people with BPD experience anger. Yeah, anger is a madness. It is very intense. Psychotherapy, DBT, mentalization-based therapy, schema-focused therapy, transference-focused therapy, and medications. It says that there's no medications that are currently available for BPD and anger, and I don't think we need them. I don't think we need medication for BPD and anger. I feel like with anger, it's one of those things that we have to learn to control ourselves with help from other people, but in the end it comes down to us needing to learn how to manage it. My own personal way of managing it is through boxing. That release of physical energy and expenditure, and by me beating the absolute beep out of a punch bag or doing drills, I'm expending all the energy that was riling me up in the first place. It allows me to sort of clear my head. I also do other exercises that do exactly the same thing. Incredibly useful if you don't exercise and you find yourself quite angry a lot of the time. Even if it sucks and your body hates it, give it a go. Why not? If you can give it a go and you are able to, I would suggest doing so. My second one is acting. I can show my true colours of BPD when I'm acting, and it's a good thing because it's acting, it's not real. But using those qualities that I contain as a person and putting them into acting scenarios, you know, scenarios that Reece as a person would never experience, but you put his brain into you know, this acting world, and it creates good things. Oh yeah, breathing exercises. Jesus, yeah, breathing exercises. If you can take yourself out of a situation and you are able to do those breathing exercises to clear your head, please do them. Give it a try. I know it sounds ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous the first time I did it, but it actually did help. The more that I accepted it and tried it and, you know, seeing what happens. Yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you on that one. In terms of anger, it's something that we are able to manage. I can say I am now on the other side of it. I do get angry sometimes, but it's nowhere near what I used to do. A mistake is only a mistake if you make the same mistake twice. So remember that. Learn from your mistakes. Adapt, change, overcome. Don't be fearful of change. Change is fine, because with change comes learning and experience and knowledge, because from that you can dictate whether you want to take it or you want to leave it. Am I rambling? I don't know if I'm rambling. I hope you enjoyed the video. It feels so strange doing these things. Like, it really does. I can't believe there's 9,000 of you. I really can't. Feels wonderful to be appreciated. So, thank you. Lots of love, guys. I'll see you in the next.